to give people at home, though, a bit of an understanding of why is the study of the senses important? What's the bigger picture of this? So aside from designing weird, wonderful, crazy dining experiences, aside from a greater appreciation of wine, what is all this kind of research, would you say, is leading towards? Or what can it help us achieve in the future?
So I think that we are very unaware of how the experiences that we have put us in touch with the environments that we're in, allow us to move and act fluently in those environments, allow us to detect quickly and effortlessly things that are dangers or things that might be attractions. And by understanding how our senses work, we understand how both to design better environments for ourselves, ways in which things could be changed in the environment to suit creatures like us. For example, car design, street and city design for people whose eyesight is fading or people with disabilities. How can we, when we know how they take in and use the information around them, we can craft the ways they will interact with their environment and things built in the environment to make their experience and use of them better and more functionally appropriate.
Right.
And I also think that, there are things about the senses that we're still finding out that just amaze us. As you say, I'm very interested in our sense of smell. Realizing that one of the major points of attraction between ourselves and our mate is the sense of smell. We often choose people because their smell indicates that their immune system is further away from ours, and that makes us
really
evolutionarily fit to mate. Yes. So the human leukocyte activity, when you've got the HLA of humans, what will give you the smell that you carry is bacteria on your skin, what you eat, and your immune system. Now, when we smell other people, we seem to be unconsciously responding to how far or close their immune system is to us. And I think we've all noticed that. There are people you could say, very attractive, I like them, they're extremely nice, but if they just don't smell right, they don't smell bad, but it just doesn't smell right, it's no good. There's nothing that will get us over that. On the other hand, we can meet people in the day and say, they were wonderful, I was so captivated. And you don't know why. Well, instead of love at first sight, it might be love at first smell. So just learning these things can give you an understanding of what kind of animals we are and how we navigate our environment. So I'm interested in all of the ways in which the senses will put us in touch with the world. Let me say one more thing. As we become more and more dominated by the rise of the digital world, we've got so much data that is streaming at us. Now, the question is, how can we consume and use that data in a fast and fluid way? And I think as we used to worry about human-computer interaction, we should now worry about human data interaction. Is there a way of interacting with data that isn't just reading something or looking? Are there ways in which we can sonify information? One of the most beautiful uses of that is the idea of being in a ICU, where usually you're hearing, the beep, beep, beep of the heartbeat monitors and the oxygen monitors. And of course, if the patient's awake, it might be alarming to hear, those sounds suddenly go off. But if you have a set of harmonies that might rise or fall, and that people can respond to them, if they're clinicians, without it interfering what they're doing and concentrating on, they could take in that information more fluently and smoothly. And equally, there might be ways in which we consume data by smell or by touch or by taste in future. So I think this is a promising area.
Two things kind of came to me at that point. I was thinking, as a chef, I guess when I look at this research, I obviously look at it from a very kind of chefy perspective. And I guess I found that the applications for me in terms of, or the potential applications within designing, because you mentioned it there, designing better food experiences. And I think in care homes, in hospitals, in schools, I think there's so much of that that's needed there. one kind of very quick anecdote I have is about going to a school to do a little bit of research there, and they'd invited us to go in and see the kids in their natural environment in the dining hall. Now, this dining hall, like many others around the country, is kind of has a double purpose. It's the gym and the dining hall. So you go in there and it smells of fried food and feet, and very high ceilings, so really strong kind of sound level there. And they were even telling us that some children had to be removed from that space or didn't eat in that communal area because it was just too overstimulating for them. Yes. And do you think there is that potential there to kind of improve dining in areas outside of restaurants?
Absolutely. I mean, I can think of several. That's a very good story because it just tells you what's wrong. And I think of us as children going into school canteens and smelling the leftover juices of boiled cabbage and just being immediately off-putting. So, beware and be careful with your environment. It makes a huge difference to your eating experience. Care homes, we've suddenly taken an interest in care homes, and I hope that will continue. We must think about how to give people better experiences of eating when we know their sense of smell is now diminishing. And we must think of using more interesting ways to make food.
And is that because smell diminishes with age? Like why?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, our eyesight will fade, our ears will fade, but we will use glasses and we'll have hearing aids. There's nothing to replace the loss of smell when it diminishes. So by the age of 70, about a quarter of the population in this country will be functionally anosmic. They will have no sense of smell. And you often hear older people say, this doesn't taste as good as it used to. And what they mean is they can't really get the flavor of it because the sense of smell's not there. So how do we make those dishes interesting, enjoyable, appealing? I think that's something to work on, as well as the environment, the plates that you're eating off, the cutlery. If your hands are arthritic, you don't want the same feel of something in your hands that you might have used when you were younger. And then, of course, the other area, if it ever comes back, is flying. There's a lot of thought has gone into how to make a better experience of eating and drinking in the air, because we know it's a terrible environment. It's cold, it's noisy, the noise will interfere with your ability to taste things. You're getting
expand. Tell us a little about that. How will noise?
Yeah, well, this
affect what I'm tasting?
Well, this is I think hugely interesting. It turns out that when you have white noise in your ears of about 39 decibels or above, that diminishes the brain's ability to pick up salt, sweet, and sour from the tongue by about 10 to 15%. So this is a reason why you've got white noise in your ears from 79 decibels or 89 decibels will be the noise of a commercial aircraft cabin. And of course, in business class, especially companies like Lufthansa, they'll give you Bose noise cancelling headphones. It'll make the food taste much better. And they've realized that. So we knew that this was having an effect, but we wondered whether it was all foods. And it turns out that the fifth taste, umami, as you know, the taste in soy sauce and mushrooms and Parmesan cheese and tomatoes, that is immune to this effect of noise on perception of taste. And then Charles Spencer and I thought, well, maybe that's why everybody drinks tomato juice and Bloody Marys on planes. A lot of people will have a Bloody Mary on an aircraft, but they won't have it at any other time. And you say, why do you have it? They say, I don't know. It's appealing. It's savory. It tastes better. So have things with lots of umami if you're eating on a flight and you haven't got your noise cancelling headphones, and you'll have a better tasting experience.